The lingering impact of alcohol, how heavy drinking affects decision-making long after sobriety. Introduction. Alcohol's effects on the brain are often thought to be temporary, fading once a person becomes sober. However, recent research challenges that assumption, revealing that alcohol may leave long-lasting imprints on the brain, especially in the areas responsible for planning, evaluating consequences, and making decisions. These persistent effects may help explain why individuals in recovery from alcohol dependence often struggle with choices that affect their well-being even long after quitting. A new animal study sheds light on just how deeply alcohol can impair decision-making, showing that the brain's flexibility, its ability to adapt to new information and change course, is significantly affected for months after heavy drinking has ended. The implications of this research are profound, not only for understanding relapse, but also for developing recovery strategies that support cognitive repair and resilience. How the study was conducted. In this recent study, researchers used a group of rats to model the effects of chronic alcohol consumption. For 1 month, these rats were given access to large amounts of alcohol. After the alcohol was removed from their environment, the rats were monitored and tested over a span of nearly 3 months, a timeline that allowed researchers to examine long-term changes in brain function. To assess cognitive flexibility, the rats were trained to complete a task, requiring them to choose between 2 levers to receive a food reward. The correct lever changed frequently, demanding that the rats adapt their behavior in response to shifting rules, a test of their ability to learn from feedback and update their decisions accordingly. Key findings. Alcohol's long shadow on the brain. Rats that had consumed alcohol showed notable deficits in decision-making long after they stopped drinking. While the control group quickly adapted when the rules changed, the alcohol-exposed rats struggled. They often repeated mistakes, failed to switch strategies when needed, and displayed poor judgment when rewards were restructured. This persistent inflexibility pointed to a deeper neurological impairment, one not healed by simple abstinence. And importantly, the alcohol-exposed rats were no longer intoxicated, nor were they experiencing withdrawal symptoms at the time of testing. This ruled out temporary effects and highlighted that alcohol had caused longer-term disruptions in the brain's decision-making circuitry. The deficits were most apparent when the rats needed to override learned behavior and choose a new path, precisely the kind of flexibility often required in real-life situations involving recovery, risk management, and habit change. Gender differences in brain response to alcohol. Interestingly, the study also revealed a gender-specific effect. Male rats were more significantly impacted than female rats. This mirrors some findings in human studies, where men may experience more profound or persistent cognitive effects following heavy alcohol use. However, further research is needed to confirm these sex-specific vulnerabilities and to better understand how hormonal, genetic, or neurochemical differences influence the brain's response to alcohol over time. Understanding these distinctions could lead to more personalized recovery interventions and may help clinicians better support both men and women in their post-alcohol healing processes. What this means for people in recovery. These findings support the idea that abstinence from alcohol, while essential, may not be sufficient to reverse all of the damage caused by chronic drinking. Decision-making is a cognitive process that involves working memory, attention, emotional regulation, and foresight, all of which may be compromised for months or even years after alcohol use stops. In practical terms, this can help explain why people in recovery sometimes make impulsive decisions or struggle with relapse, even when highly motivated. The brain systems responsible for weighing consequences and making adaptive choices may still be impaired, underscoring the need for longer-term cognitive support and treatment programs. Moreover, the research suggests that simply achieving physical sobriety is not enough. Healing the brain, particularly the regions involved in cognitive control and planning, should be a central focus in both early and long-term recovery support. future directions and hope for cognitive healing. Although these findings may seem discouraging, they also highlight an important truth. The brain is remarkably resilient and capable of change. Understanding that these impairments exist allows researchers and clinicians to develop more targeted interventions, including cognitive rehabilitation programs that enhance flexibility, memory, and problem solving, mindfulness and meditation practices that strengthen attention and impulse control, nutritional and neuroplasticity supporting interventions, e.g., B vitamins, omega-3s, exercise, non-stigmatizing long-term care that supports individuals far beyond initial detox. By acknowledging the lingering effects of alcohol on cognition, the recovery community can move toward more compassionate, science-backed approaches to healing, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. Conclusion. Heavy alcohol use leaves a lasting impact on the brain, particularly in areas critical for flexible decision-making. The findings from this animal study provide compelling evidence that these cognitive effects may persist for months, even after drinking stops, highlighting the challenges many people face in recovery. This research also invites hope. By understanding the specific areas of cognitive struggle, new tools and therapies can be developed to support full recovery, not just from addiction, but from the deep, often invisible wounds it leaves on the mind.